This is a great example of why the new digital SAT with a calculator built in, a graphing calculator built in for every question is going to be much easier for us to avoid algebra. So in this case, we've got a quadratic. We know that we're supposed to factor quadratics, but this one's going to be hard. We have a 5 in front of the x squared. Normally factoring, we really want that to be a 1 in front of the x squared or no number at all. Maybe we could divide everything by 5 and it'll just magically disappear. But 37, 24, these are not divisible by 5. So we could do quadratic formula, we could do some other complicated factoring things, which I'll show you at the end, or just type it in the calculator. So if I type it just as is, even without the 0, it's going to produce a parabola, right? This is y equals version. So it's producing a parabola, but I don't even need then to do that. I know what that means and solutions for parabolas are x-intercepts, but if I just make it equal to 0, it's going to solve this equation for me. It's going to just give me 2 vertical lines that represent the x values. And so one of them we can see is negative, which we know we don't want, but it's negative 0.6, which is the same as negative 3/5. So, this is the trap, I should say. They want us to go with that because of the way that we factor. That might become kind of one of our other factors, but that is not the positive solution. That is a negative solution. But if we tap over here to the right, 8, 0, that's just telling us that 8 is in fact the positive solution. So that's it. There's no math to be done here. Just enter in the calculator. The calculator will solve this equation for you. But I will show you the process for factoring it in case you're curious. Maybe on some harder question, we really need to know how to do it. What I would do here is something called slide and divide. Basically, when we have a number in front of the x squared, we want it to go away. And we hope that making it go away temporarily will let us factor. So the slide is a multiplication step. We take the 5, we slide it down to the end by multiplying the 24 by 5. So that's going to give us a new quadratic. X squared minus 37x minus 24 times 5, I think is 120. 24 times 5 is 120. So now we're in better territory, right? Because it's just an x squared, there's nothing in front of it. So we're hoping that we can factor this. And remember, we need numbers that add to negative 37 and multiply to negative 120. I think if I did negative 40 and 3, negative 40 plus 3 is negative 37. So you might need to try a bunch of things. This is why this is tedious. You could go, 120 has a lot of factors. So you could be dividing this up into different ways for a while, especially with the negative. You have the calculator, so you can always try different things, but it gets messy. So negative 37 did work though. So we would want x minus 40, x plus 3. Now though, the solutions are not 40 and negative 3. We can't just say that we're done here because we slided the number back to the end and we have to divide it back to the front. So the way to do that is we take each of our numbers here and we divide them by what we did multiplied by originally, so 5. So for usually the way this works, one of the factors will kind of work out easily. So this will become x minus 8 because 40 divided by 5 is 8. Now with the x plus 3 over 5, we could write it as like 5x plus 3, but I don't want to do that because I want to know the solution. So I'm just going to leave it as a fraction, but it's x plus 3/5. And so this is going to give me 2 answers. X equals 8, x equals negative 3/5, which is exactly what we found when we used the calculator. So there's no surprises here, but notice that opportunity to make a mistake is higher because the algebra is more complex. And also when you get x plus 3/5, 3/5 is an answer. So there's that temptation to kind of forget that last step of factoring where we solve the factors as equations. And then maybe you kind of just misread things and, get the wrong answer, even though you kind of did all the work correctly. So the calculator just avoids all of this. The only thing we have to worry about is whether or not we enter it into the calculator correctly. So just make sure that you're fine. The buttons are a little small, so it's easy to mistype. But if you just check it before you kind of start solving whatever the picture is, then you'll be fine. Definitely, 100%. This is a case where the calculator just makes a question way easier, and it goes to show why certain things that are difficult in normal math class might be much easier on an SAT if you know how to use the calculator.